I'm always very critical of video games, because they're a medium I spend a lot of time with, playing them, watching others play them, reading about them. It's very rare that I find a game where I don't find something to criticize, for better or for worse. And while I do very much enjoy playing video games, I feel I'm often too critical in my videos, or simply put, I do not show often enough what I really like or even love about certain video games or video games in general. And I want to change that. So here are a few things I really like or enjoy in Shadow Warrior from 2013. One of the first things you see when you boot up the game is of course the main menu, and I find it almost hypnotizing. The constant movement of the different circles around the menu itself, all in different variations of red, and the mellow music that grows into a full orchestra song from the game's soundtrack. It really sets the tone for things to come in the course of the game. Another neat thing is that if you go into any of the sub-menus, the background changes accordingly. Or to sum it all up, I really like the visuals of Shadow Warrior's main menu. Shortly after the main menu are the loading screens for the different chapters. They too are constantly moving, shifting ever so slightly and, depending on which chapter you're playing, display 3 different images. They give me a feeling that something is happening behind the scenes, while giving me a sneak peek into the places I'll soon be traversing and fighting through, and I really like this type of loading screen. Directly following the loading screens are the chapter intros themselves. Accompanied by their very own sound cue, they remind me of the sound of an engine starting, of the first bell ringing before a Wild West town duel, of someone unsheathing their sword before a fight. They mark a beginning. They are letting you know that it is time to focus on the things ahead and the enemies standing in between your goals. They're the signal to crush them. Go forth and kick ass. And since I'm already talking about kicking ass, let's talk about the enemy type you fight against the most in Shadow Warrior. The minion is the basic and smallest demon. They're quick, nimble and deadly in numbers. However, they're quick to dispatch too, no matter the tool or method as long as you can aim. And out of all the enemies, they're the most fun to fight against with Lo Wang's trusty katana. Pick a few off with your distance weapon of choice while either you or them are closing the distance, and when you're right in the middle of them, cut away with the sword. Like a ballet of death, guts and glory, just you, your katana going to work until you're the last being standing. At times, however, it's just a lot more convenient to deal with things from further away, with a load of bullets. The solution? The submachine gun. Sorry, dual submachine guns. Wielding any 2 weapons most of the time will make you look like a total fool or a total badass. In Shadow Warrior, wielding 2 SMGs instead of 1 seems like the natural thing to do. And if spewing double the volume of bullets into your enemies wasn't really like having a cake and eating it too, the over-the-top reload animation is the cherry on top. And I very much enjoy a slice of cake with cherries on top. And while I'm on the topic of slices, the special attack set for your katana is very good at turning demons into slices of meat. You have 2 attacks that are directional, one for distance and one for up close. But the one I enjoy the most are the other 2, which are nearly identical. The Vortex. A 360-degree attack that slices everything around you that is close enough. While not too effective against the larger demons, it works wonders on the small minions. It's just so much fun to jump into a group of them and just let loose. Nobody ever told me spinning could be this enjoyable. But if pinpoint accuracy is more your thing, do not worry. The crossbow is an old weapon, but it still finds its way into modern media, be it movies or video games, and Lo Wang has one in his possession inside his lair, ready to be used. Pretty fun on its own, it becomes way more fun with the charged bolt upgrade. With it, the crossbow becomes a very potent weapon against even the largest demons, if you have the patience and aim. And against the smaller demons there's an added benefit as well. Now you're able to decorate walls with bodies of demons. That is, if they're not bursting into a cloud of blood in body parts on contact with a charged bolt shot. Although I am more of a bow guy, I do like the crossbow in Shadow Warrior. But nothing beats the firing of a single action revolver. Thankfully, Lo Wang finds one really early on in the game. Dispatching the smaller demons with it is doable, if a bit slow. You do look pretty badass using it though. However, with one of its upgrades you can fan the hammer, like in those old western movies. I wouldn't know anything about it, I haven't seen many. What I do know is that quickly putting a few bullets inside a demon is pretty fun. I just can't seem to always count how many shots I fired in all this excitement. And these demon punks never answer me when I ask them while they're cowering before me. Another thing I really like is Shadow Warrior's melee system. There's 3 modes to choose from: Casual, Basic and Advanced. Casual will use one of the standard set of attack moves at random. Basic allows the player way more control over what kind of move he wants to do, by using the mouse movement during the attack as the indicator with a little bit of assist for a smoother experience. Move the mouse left and right and you'll slice your sword horizontally. The same works for vertical movement. Advanced allows even greater control by turning the small amount of assist off. And while Advanced can be a bit fiddly at times, I find the melee system really rewarding. But enough about the kicking ass part. Let's talk a bit about the places you'll visit. While you're not on an international field trip of fun in Shadow Warrior, you do get to visit a couple of cool locations. One of those is a large housing area directly on top of a mountain. While the snow is slowly falling and the sun is brightly shining over the horizon, you battle through countless enemies, painting the snow red. To fight in such a scenic place is certainly something. To get to the top, you'll have to first climb the mountain, of course. And while the top is certainly something to behold, the way there is pretty cool too, if you ask me. Everything is overlaid with a layer of snow and the winds must be just as harsh and cold as they sound whenever there's a moment of silence in between dangers you encounter. And during that silence you'll hear the sound of crunching snow under your feet, which adds to the sense of tranquility I get from the place. A feeling I very much enjoy. On the hunt for the Nobusora Kage, you're also going to be at a large graveyard and its temple. The atmosphere here is hauntingly beautiful. While there are many demons in the area too, it's the quiet parts that I like the most. The large moon shining up from above, throwing large shadows along the nearly endless lines of monolithic graves. There's a certain serenity to it that I really enjoy. There's also a chapter in the game where you're traversing through a large shipyard, where a part of it has been transformed into a quarantine zone that has these stereotypical plastic tunnels. There's even some lab equipment stashed in one of the rooms. When you're there it's night and there's a storm thundering down on the port. Not only does this provide very hard shadows, but the strong wind moves the whole system of interconnected tubes constantly. I found this place oddly calming, just standing near one of the windows while the rain drops onto the walls and the lightning strikes illuminate the hallway. But you're not just traversing through snowy mountains, spooky graveyards or industrial complexes. You'll also be spending some time in more urban environments and a bit of countryside forests too. In this case, pretty large bamboo forests. I find these to be quite stunning, not only visually but also technically. I just never expected to see so many bamboo plants as actual 3D objects instead of 2D planes stacked behind each other. And when the sun shines through the countless plants here and there, they can be really quite a looker. And whenever they block out the sunlight, I always had an uneasy feeling that something was lurking behind me. Normally that would bother me, but hey, I'm the badass Lo Wang, right? And finally, here are a few things that I didn't really know how to group together. I don't know. In one of the levels, you encounter something that I don't think is anywhere else in the game. A bunch of locked up demons are inside a few rooms while you're able to traverse freely around the area. A few of them will slowly walk along the outer walls of the room and from time to time, scratch along the windows with their claws. It's not something huge or gameplay related, but a tiny addition to detail that I very much like. I've already talked about the loading screens, but there's still something similar to them that I want to note. I'm glad loading screens in single player games are now mostly when you boot up the game and everything in between is mostly seamless loading. The smaller transitions in the chapters in Shadow Warrior are somewhat in between this. Doors and gates represent these in-betweens. While opening them, the game freezes for a few seconds and Lo Wang fully steps through the door or gate when the game has loaded to the next segment of the level. These are animated pretty nicely if you ask me, and I think are better than the fade in fade outs that I used most of the time for loading transitions. Like many other games, Shadow Warrior 2 has an upgrade and skill system that is pretty basic. Gain points and money to spend on new and or better skills and weapon upgrades. I especially like the one screen where you can spend your acquired karma points with the style of old paper scrolls in Asian paintings. But the thing I like the most about this is the telephone ringing sound you hear when you open and close the screens. It feels a bit out of place, but it is probably one of the most fitting sounds I've ever heard. I just don't know why. And to close things off, here's a bit about two of the main characters. With Lo Wang and Hoji you have two characters that are constantly trying to one-up one another. And as the player you'll be hearing their banter throughout the large majority of the game, which provided me with several laughs and chuckles while playing. So I have this example from the beginning of the game.
Alright, weird mannequin, ghost, robot thing. Time to dance.
Did you want that to sound tough? It didn't.
Did you want that to sound annoying? Nailed it.
Thank you.
Are you counting?
And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed this commentary about the things I like in Shadow Warrior from 2013.